Hello and welcome to Jessie Bear Book Club review of All About History magazine issue number 103, and I know I'm really behind on my All About History magazine reviews, but in my defense I've been kind of busy. I got a new job and stuff, so you know. Also, I put this in my work bag to read on my lunch breaks, and then I kind of forgot it was in there, so that's why it's a bit bent. Sorry. But I was really interested in this magazine because it was all about Boudica, or Boudicca, whatever way people like to pronounce her name. I say Boudica because I think that's what it looks like. And there was also this lovely article about the devil, which I was interested in reading, and artist, rebel, feminist icon. So that looked pretty interesting too. So opening up, and you got your usual, you know, intro page, advert, content page, some very old classical art of Boudica, and then War and Spies. That was your free magazine with this one this month, and it was alright. I had a flick. Wasn't brilliant, but you know, I've read a bit of it and I liked getting the artwork for the cover. I love getting the artwork stuff in these covers when they come out. And then you've got your photography, the Nazis burning books, which always gives me the shivers every time I see that photo. Then the first Earth Day, which is this photo. It was pretty cool, lots of people. And then I thought this looked really cool. Book of Death, all about death and how humans have, you know, honored their dead. Probably wouldn't buy it because these books are really expensive, but I thought it looked cool. And then we've got all about the Mayans. And I will confess, I know very little about the Mayans. You know, apart from watching El Dorado when I was a kid, and the world meaning to end in 2012, wasn't it? So it was interesting. I read it. You know, it's not really my cup of tea because it's more ancient history and we don't have enough evidence for a lot of it. So I read it. I did like this bit about the goddesses. Oh, we got our scribe breakdown of his outfit. I like his little turban-y hat and his paintbrushes. If I had a turban hat like that, I'd put my paintbrushes in it. I'd probably get paint all over myself. Whenever I paint, I always get paint all over myself. And then we've got our kind of people, well, goddesses and people. And I really liked her. I don't know how to pronounce her name though. Ixchel? And she was the goddess of childbirth. I got real Medusa vibes from her snake hair. Thought that was really cool. And then there was Lady Cabell, who was a warlord in Mayan society, which I thought was interesting. I read most of these, but I don't know. When you don't know the rest of the history, it can sometimes be hard to place stuff and get really interested. So read that, and then, you know, get your article about somebody doing a dig, which I didn't read. And then places to visit, Mayan ruins, which was interesting enough. I think I would visit some if I was ever in the vicinity. Then we get our lovely article about Boudica, the British warrior queen. And I was really excited for this article. I thought the artwork was so beautiful. I thought it was going to be really cool, really interesting and diverse, and perhaps there'd be some new information that I didn't know that you wouldn't get in the usual documentary by Channel 5. Unfortunately, there was not. There was some evidence about where they think her battles took place and why she is so well documented in Roman history. But there was nothing really new, which I found a bit disappointing. Still a good article, but no new information. But I suppose sometimes there won't be any new information unless you've suddenly found something new, which was okay. Not the best main featured article in this magazine I've ever read, but you know, it's okay. And then we get Yuri Gagarin. I think that's how you pronounce his name. The first Russian cosmonaut. And because it was the 60th anniversary of the first man in space, and space normally isn't my thing. I don't really get why people want to go to space. It terrifies me, but I did enjoy this article. I thought he was kind of cool. It talked about his background, how he came from a very, you know, poor Russian background and ended up being the first man in space, but then how he couldn't cope with the fame when he came back from space, which I thought was really interesting, and how he became an alcoholic and tried to rape his secretary, which again was a bit gory, but you know, how he was really idolized within the Soviet Union for being a prodigy. You know, you've been from the bottom, you've got to the top type thing, but you couldn't handle it. So that was interesting. We then move on to Artisan Gentilist she Renaissance feminist. And I really enjoyed this article. When I first seen this artwork, I thought it was going to be like a dark side of the Renaissance type article, which there are in pretty much every other history magazine ever, but it wasn't. I had never heard of this woman. Again, I find it hard to pronounce her name. Her name was Artemisia Gentileschi, and she was a famous Renaissance female painter, and she kind of changed the way women were perceived in Renaissance art. They were no longer passive creatures, which I really liked, and her life story was amazing, especially because like she was raped by her tutor, and then she had him put on trial, and she underwent torture. Like the judge made her undergo torture to make sure she was telling the truth. She had a really amazing life, and I've never ever heard of her. So I really enjoyed this article, and of course it was by one of my favorite writers in this magazine, Jessica Leggett. I love her. She always tweets me back. She's really nice. And moving along, the Great Escape Artist. I'll admit I skimmed it. It's not really my thing. It's the sort of thing my dad would have really liked. I read a bit about it. You know, I was like, okay, read the article about the women. It wasn't really my thing. I apologize. Sorry. And then we get to the devil, and I was really excited to read this article for a number of reasons. One, the occult fascinates me, and two, I find it really interesting how Christianity twisted pagan symbolism and pagan gods. You know, like you get the horned god, Pan, you know, being very kind of symbolic of the devil, and you can see those overtones. It wasn't the most interesting article I've ever read, though there was some very fun artwork. I mean, look at that face on his butt face. Kind of like that. And it was just kind of talking about Christianity and the idea of the devil being a serpent in the Garden of Eden, and how that kind of evolved through the Middle Ages, and how he was normally perceived as a dragon, and then in the Renaissance how that changed again. So it was alright. I did like this little bit. Satanic 70s, and I love that poster, isn't it so cool? And it was really about how the occult became really popular in the 70s. And if anybody has watched that documentary on Netflix about the Son of Sam and the guy who got obsessed with the Son of Sam and satanic cults, really good article. It kind of ties in. This was my favorite part of this whole article, just this little bit. The rest of it was a bit dull. Like, I read it, didn't really capture my imagination, apart from this little bit and that documentary, because it kind of ties in. So look it up. We then move on to this article, which I enjoyed, about, and apologies beforehand for murdering his name, Aurangzeb. Don't know if that's how it's pronounced. Kind of looks like that. And the Mughal Empire in India. And I enjoyed this article. It was very Game of Thrones-ish, and how he deposed all his brothers and murdered them and locked up his father. And, you know, it's all about power play, and then what religion he was Muslim, and how that played a massive role in his lawmaking style and the eventual fall of his empire and stuff. It was good. I liked it. Like, definitely an interesting article. Again, like I said, if you don't already know the history of a certain region, sometimes it can be really hard to place people and articles in your own mind. But I still really enjoyed this. Didn't know anything about him beforehand, so I liked it. And of course, like, some of the artwork's amazing. Look at that. I really like that. It's very Renaissance Italy or something, like, or a coin. I don't know. I just really liked it. I thought it was really good. And then we move on to the Battle of Ivy. And as you know, I'm not a battle enthusiast. Battle enthusiast? Battle enthusiast. So I didn't read it. Sorry. Had a bit of a look. Not really my thing. So we'll just pass over. And then we get, what if the First Crusade had never happened? I like that. I did really like that. Geoffrey de Boulogne, I liked him. I like that sort of thing, you know. And it was really just like, if the First Crusade had never happened, a lot of people would still be alive, and we maybe wouldn't have rampant Christianity, or, you know. Anyway, it was good. It was nothing special. You know, it's kind of what it said on the cover. What if the First Crusade never happened? Well, we all know what would happen if the First Crusade had never happened. You know, so there's kind of no point to it, but it was alright. And then we get John Hassell's posters. And I just love posters, especially old British posters, like First World War or before. I thought these were so beautiful. Like, look at her. Like, it's so cool. And they've got this amazing one of Little Red Riding Hood. Let me show you. Isn't that so beautiful? I think I'm going to cut that out and stick it on some card. It's so pretty. I think it's these ones too. But I love this one up here. The Queen Elizabeth I. I wish it was like not on the crease. Otherwise I would have cut it out and kept it because I thought it was really cool. And it's got a book. It's got a book down here. I don't know if I'd buy it because I have so many coffee table books, but it looked pretty cool. Like, and I like his stuff. I think it's really pretty. Moving along, we get our normal recommendations. Nothing really standing out this time around. Sometimes I will go ahead and watch something, but they did talk about this book in the last All About History magazine. They had an article about it, so go back and watch my review of issue 102 and then you can see all about that. And then we have our recipe for tamales, because it's the Mayans, of course. I am not a fan of tamales. I've had them. I find them a bit greasy, not really my thing. So I don't know if I'll be keeping the recipe, but you never know. You never know. And unfortunately I missed getting issue 104, but that was maybe because it was all about Hitler and I wasn't really too into that. But I do have 105, which I'm really excited to read because it's all about the Medicis. Look at Catherine de Medici up there. Ooh, he was a nasty piece of work, don't you think? So that'll be my next one I'm reviewing. Hopefully it won't take me quite so long to read it. I'll try not to put it in my work bag and just forget about it. But if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. I review history magazines and books and I talk about Game of Thrones and all that fun stuff. So follow me and leave a comment if you thought Boudica looked really cool on this cover like I did, even if the article was a letdown. You can also follow me on Instagram at Lady Jessica Riddell. Until next time, bye!